Hey, they ain't seen nothing yet, though. This just the beginning, you feel me?
That's how it's supposed to be.
And what's really, and I mean really scary about this, is Colorado already had Xavier Weaver, right, and Jimmy Horn Jr., but now they have found a new secret weapon. And I want y'all to think about this. Can you imagine what's going to happen when Travis Hunter comes back? Can anybody stop him? The beauty of life, and as I've gotten older, I've started to realize this, when bad things happen to us, although, yeah, we hate it and we don't want bad things to happen to us, it turns out to be good for us because it opens up new opportunities. Whether you believe this or not, that is totally up to you, but I firmly believe that everything happens for a reason. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are seeing that unfold in front of our eyes with this Colorado football team. I'll give you a great example of what I'm talking about. Let's say it's 2nd and 1 and you run the ball and get a first down. In that moment, you're like, yes, this is awesome. My team got a first down. This is good. A good thing happened to me, right? Well, since the next play, it's 1st and 10, you decide to pass, and you throw an interception. So at first, yes, a good thing happened to you, but in result of the good thing happening, a bad thing followed it. You see what I'm saying? Whereas if you wouldn't have got the first down on 2nd and 1, you got stopped, and it's 3rd and 1, and you run again, you don't throw the interception there. Maybe that wasn't a good example. I'll give you one more, and we'll get a move on and get down to what we got to talk about with Colorado. And now we're really starting to get into the butterfly effect here, but let's say you got to leave for work, you got to be there at 9, and you're trying to leave the house by 8:45. You get in your car, everything's going good, but boom, your car doesn't start. You wind up showing up late for work, but on your way to work, you realize there's a wreck up in front of you. So you see where I'm going with this. If your car would have started, that could have been you. And at this point in time, we are really getting to the butterfly effect, but I hope you get the point I'm trying to get across here. In this life, we really don't know if a good thing's a good thing or if a bad thing's a bad thing. Because a good thing can happen, and right after that, a bad thing can happen, and vice versa. Well, guess what? With all that being said, I know some of you are probably confused and you're lost. Just stick with me. Everything I just said, it applies to this Colorado football team and what happened. What happened only a few weeks ago against Colorado State? Travis Hunter, the star player, the best wide receiver, the best cornerback, defensive back, whatever you want to call him, he got hurt. He could no longer play. Devastating blow, devastating loss, right? It sucks, man. That's a big time blow. What's this Colorado football team gonna do? Well, guess what? In the midst of adversity, a new player, he arose. And this young player goes by the name of no other than Omarion Miller. Remember the name, folks. I'm going to say it one more time. Omarion Miller. That is how you say it. Why am I so confident in saying that? Because in a post-game interview, Shedeur Sanders actually corrected a guy who was asking Omarion a question because he said his name wrong. I believe the reporter said something like Omarion or something, and Shedeur was like, no, his name's Omarion. So let's get that right, and I thought that was cool of Shedeur to do because that's just a respect thing. And I'm not throwing shade at the reporter because, to be quite frank with all of you, nobody knew who Omarion Miller was before that game. You know why nobody knew who he was? Because he didn't even have a recorded stat heading into that game. He is a freshman wide receiver with no stats for Colorado. You shouldn't have known who he was. Heck, man, I've been keeping up with this Colorado football team more than anybody else, and I just heard of his name here and there. I didn't really know too much about him. I did know he was on the roster, but I'm not going to act like I knew a lot because I didn't. I'll put it this way. I knew his name, but I didn't know his story. And fast forward in time into the USC game, he looked like one of the best wide receivers in the nation. Made no mistakes about it. This was a nobody. There wasn't even a scouting report on him, and he goes out there and has 7 catches for nearly 200 yards. Granted, USC's defense is not that good, but good gosh almighty, man, 200 yards? A freshman? 200 yards and a tutty? Not bad at all. But it goes back to what I was saying in the intro, guys. This good thing wouldn't have happened if that bad thing didn't happen to Travis Hunter. And this is how I like to view life. Let's take a positive out of a negative. If Travis Hunter is healthy, more than likely, Omarion Miller is not playing in this ball game. And I love me some Travis Hunter. Y'all know this, but he couldn't have done too much better than this. Omarion Miller basically played like Travis Hunter in this ball game. It's hard to get 200 receiving yards in a Power 5 game, guys. I don't think some of y'all understand, or maybe you do, but I can't emphasize that enough. 200 receiving yards in a big-time game, that can't go unnoticed, and I had to speak about it. And hey, maybe the reason he did so good is because USC wasn't too worried about him. I don't know. But I can tell you this much. They know about him now, and so does everybody else. He's on the scouting report for all these new teams. He's essentially the Travis Hunter until Travis Hunter comes back. And what's really, and I mean really scary about this, is Colorado already had Xavier Weaver, right, and Jimmy Horn Jr., but now they have found a new secret weapon. Say what you want about this Colorado defense. They're fighting awful, I agree with you. But they didn't need any more help on offense, and now they got it. And I want y'all to think about this. Can you imagine what's going to happen when Travis Hunter comes back? Can anybody stop him? Seriously, I'll talk crap about this Colorado defense all day long because they are awful. I mean awful. They got a lot of work to do. But at the same time, I'm going to talk about Colorado's offense with some of the best of them in the country. Well, let me change that. Maybe not some of the best of them, but I'd say they're probably a top 15 offense at this moment. Or maybe top 15. That might be pushing it, but top 20. The offense is most definitely top 20, maybe top 15. The defense, not so much. I don't even know if they're in the top 100. But the offense is good, and I know some people are going to say, whoa, man, what about Oregon game? They couldn't even block. Okay, yes, they look pitiful against Oregon, but that's just because they don't have the offensive line. Everything else is A-okay, and you also got to throw this in there. Colorado isn't going to play another team this year that is as good as Oregon. They're going to play some other good teams. We'll talk about that in just a second, but no more Oregons and no more USCs. And even against USC, they put up 41, so do what you want with that information. Before we go any farther, I'm going to show you this video clip that was sort of going viral all over Twitter where it's Omari Miller talking about where he called his mom, or his mom called him after the game because she was so happy. It's from Well Off Media, of course. I'll leave a link to that channel down below. Matt, roll clip.
You turned the f*** up yesterday, bro.
No kids, snap, you feel me?
How I feel?
Bro, I feel good, you feel me? My mom called me crying, talking about some shit seen on the TV, bro. Man, it feels so good.
That's beautiful, bro. Are you on TikTok everywhere? You on YouTube everywhere?
Everywhere I look, bro, I see myself. I'm like, yeah.
That's how it's supposed to be.
They ain't seen nothing yet, though. This just the beginning, you feel me?
That's how it's supposed to be.
What about that, guys? What about that? They ain't seen nothing yet. This is just the beginning. I'll tell you this much. I agree with him. He's only a freshman. I saw some people stating this in the comment section, and it is a fair question. Why wasn't he playing before this? Because even with Travis Hunter on the field, you get the sense and feel like Omari Miller could have helped on this offense. Well, to answer the question, it just goes back to this. Number one, he is a freshman, which, it's just hard to learn the system, period, the end. And number two, he had some great players in front of him. I think nowadays, especially in 2023, we are numb to seeing freshmen go out here and dominate because they do it all the time. It's not rare anymore for a freshman to come into college football and make an immediate impact. Well, here's the thing. Although it's not rare, that's probably 0.3% of the freshmen. The other 99.7% of them, they're just trying to learn the system and learn the ropes. So that would be my answer to that question. Number one, he is a younger guy. And number two, there's just some players in front of him. No big deal. Let's get this straight, guys. Just because you're not starting for any college football team, it doesn't mean you're a bum. Next up, let me show you what Deion Sanders had to say about Omari Miller's performance and what he needs to do going forward. Matt wrote a clip.
And I challenged him about, it's one thing when they don't expect nothing. Now all of you expect something, so you're gonna be on his butt, on his back, with your hands around his throat. Like, come on, we want to see what we saw against USC.
Let me stop it right there. I like that. It's one thing when nobody expects anything out of you, but it's a completely different story when people do expect something out of you. That's a key point we need to throw in there because it's easy to perform when nobody's expecting jack squiddly crap out of you. What's that one saying? It's something like, oh, this person was too young and dumb for their own good. I think we can apply that here, right? Omari Miller, he was almost too young and dumb to realize there's a lot of expectations on him now.
So to prepare with that expectation is tremendous. That was our word of the day, expectation. We defined that, we talked through it, and I made a point that it's not the expectation that others have of you. It's the expectation that you have of yourself that should matter the most.
It's not the expectations that people have of you. It's the expectations you have of yourself that matters. Yep, another typical great quote from Deion Sanders. He has like thousands of those by now. It's almost like he's a walking quote. Every time he speaks, you can put it on a t-shirt, whatever he says. But on a serious note, yeah, even I myself, I'm curious to see, was this a one-time thing? Was this a fluke? Or can Omarion keep it up? I would like to hope and assume he can keep it up, especially against Arizona State this weekend, which, by the way, we'll preview that game tomorrow, more than likely. Arizona State's 1-4. But also, like Coach Prime said, it's a little different when now teams have a scouting report on you and they're game planning for you and people expect a lot out of you. So pay attention to that. That's going to be something to look forward to this weekend. All in all, though, if you're a Colorado fan, this is a great sign because you're getting Travis Hunter back in a couple of weeks. I do wonder, though, whenever Hunter comes back, if that's going to limit Omarion's role in this offense. It probably will, to be honest. We'll see what happens, though. We'll see. Let me know your thoughts down below. But,